How much does your past come back to haunt you? Have you ever been taken by an emotion so strong that nothing else remained? Are you both guarding of a dark past, but also the gleaming aspect of nobility? Then you, my friend, might be a blood angel. Welcome back to Thursdays with Horus. I am sorry it's been so long. Life's been crazy. But I'm trying to definitely, we're going to finish up season 1 here. We've only got a few episodes left. I think Emperor's Children, Ultramarines. Yeah, we're getting pretty close to the end here. But today's going to be the Blood Angels, which is, kind of a special episode because I finished reading the Siege of Terra. I went through Echoes of Eternity. I went through the Siege of Terra, and I'm now reading Fear to Tread by James Swallow. But I am officially Team Blood Angels. I finished reading the Siege of Terra. Sanguinius is my favorite character in the series. It used to be Typhus in the long ago, but after reading as much as I've read now, it's like getting into comics and then discovering Superman's actually awesome. Sanguinius was just my guy. I loved him. Couldn't, I had the whole Randy Marsh of just going through at the end fighting, 2 Titans, Kabanda, Angron, then going to fight Horus. It's just pulled a lot of weight. And I've decided that my next army that I'm going to work on, and this is probably next year, 2 years out or something like that, it's going to be, I want to have a 40k Blood Angels force. I haven't made a 40k army in a while, and I'd like to get back into it, you know what I mean? And they are unique and awesome units that they've got in that game, but I also eventually want to do Blood Angels and Horus Heresy because they are just, whew. Salamanders used to be my guys when it came to Loyalists. They were the only ones I was really about, but I understand Blood Angels players. I get it now, totally. Not yet, but soon I'm going to be a Blood Angels player. So let's kind of break in, what's on your hobby table. Love to hear it in the comment section and whatnot. I am working on some Tempestus Scions for a friend. I'm doing a strip job, actually. I've got to strip some paint off of stuff, which I've never done before, so I'm kind of learning as I go. And painting those up for him, and I'm getting those in line for 11th edition. Tim McCormick, my buddy, he's a Imperial Guard player, fantastic guy, real good dude. And he's got one of the largest guard armies I've ever seen and whatnot, so I'm helping him paint some of it, which is pretty cool. I also finished working on a pair of Leviathan Dreadnoughts for the 8th Legion. I've got this Night Lord's Atramentor force coming up. Trying to decide how to round out the force and finish it up. I'm thinking about just dropping Conrad Kurz in with 15 jump pack Marines. Just, 15 easy bodies that he can absorb hits with, or just trade guys in for his, for challenges and stuff like that. So, yeah, that's what I've been working on the table. Reading-wise, like I said, reading a bunch of heresy novels right now. I went and read the Night Lords trilogy as well, which is 40k fiction, but it was good. It was I was on an Aaron Dembski Bowden kick after reading Fear to Tread, or after reading Echoes of Eternity. But yeah, let's jump into the Blood Angels and Horus Heresy and see what it's all about. Lore-wise, pretty easy to break down. And during the Great Crusade before Sanguinius, they were actually one of the more monstrous legions. They were kind of known like the Night Lords or the World Eaters of being, they were flesh eaters. Literally, they would, go around and drink the blood and eat the flesh of their enemies. When their captain would die, they would go and feast on his flesh, and they would gain all the memories, because they got that weird Space Marine gene where they can pick, they can, literally get the courage, and knowledge of their enemies when they eat them. Well, the Blood Angels, I think they were called the Revenants back then, or the Revenant Legion back then, were 100% all about that eating of the flesh and cannibalism and whatnot. So they were scorned. They were thrown into the most horrible. It was they were like the Death Guard. They were thrown into the most horrible, forces available. The worst kill rates that could be imagined. They'd send in the Blood Angels, and the Blood Angels would go in there and murderously do their thing. And they were almost getting a little, what's the word I'm looking for? They're almost indignant of their lot in life, almost, it was almost kind of like that sway of they could have gone traitor, they could have gone loyalist, and then Sanguinius was found, freaking Superman, the angel, can do no wrong, just, beloved by all, just such a good dude, everyone liked him, you know what I mean? I don't even think Perturabo could have a bad thing to say about Sanguinius. I'm sure he would, because he's got a bad thing to say about everything, but you get the idea. Sanguinius is, you know, all, most people were like, if it hadn't been Horus chosen to be War Master, Sanguinius would have made sense, you know. He kind of has the tactical acumen and the charisma of Horus, but also like the battle sense of even like Guilliman. You know, it's just an all-arounder. You know, weapon skill 8. What can I say? One of the best fighters. Just a you know, good old dude. I could just have an entire episode talking about Sanguinius. No joke. But he was reunited with his legion. He went and trained with Horus himself and fought alongside Horus, and then had his legion actually break down and work with the sons of Horus to learn their tactics and get that tactical acumen and that experience and that, you know, veteran acumen from the sons of Horus. And then you know, his legion was remade in resplendent red plate. They were now like artisans, and you know, even leaning towards like a little bit of the salamanders. Like I said, the Blood Angels really have like a touch of like almost every facet of the Space Marine ideal. You know, the artistry, now they were painters, and tapestries were being made and things like that. And you know, they raised to a much more noble stance, and kind of still had that, you know, that monstrousness, but it was caged and it was like held in check and only shown to their enemies, you know. Just a cool legion lore wise. Then of course, you know, spoiler alert, you know, nobody, if you don't know how Siege of Terra ends, don't listen to this, but of course, you know, when Sanguinius finally is slain by Horus, then the Black Rage takes over, and that genetic, you know, flaw, that you know, that rage that they had within them, over encompasses all, you know, takes over every single Blood Angel. And now in 40k terms, it's like they see themselves fighting Horus. You know, the rage takes over and they start like hallucinating, getting that like, you know, the preternatural sight that Sanguinius had, but I guess they're getting it as, you know, old natural sight, because they're seeing the past, not the future, but they're seeing Sanguinius's final seconds of fighting Horus. And you know, like then like they go into the most like multitudinous rage. They can't be held back. You know, they're the scariest fighting things, but they can't hold objectives anymore, you know, kind of, or however it plays out in the, you know, the rules and things like that. But the Black Rage is not really seen in the rules of the Horus Heresy, because it's something that popped up at the very, very end of it, which I thought was cool. But it is something you see in the 40k rules. So, you know, kind of like a nice little interesting compare contrast and whatnot. But let's break down what the Blood Angels have in their kit. You know, and we'll take a look at their special units for the old, what can I snatch as the Alpha Legion, you know? And if I want to play this Legion specifically, you know, then they're definitely going to get, you know, used by the Alpha Legion as well. They have some really cool special units. They have a special Dreadnought, which I thought was phenomenal. I love Dreadnoughts. I know I haven't like thrown any into the lists and things like that, which is weird because every single list I've actually built of Horus Heresy has had multiple Dreadnoughts, as you just saw. Like my Night Lords even has Dose Leviathans. Leviathans are easy to get in kits right now, but they're also, I love aesthetically. Absolutely love them. Some of the coolest guns. You know, they lost their weapon skill 5, but if you're a Night Lords player, then you can pop them up to weapon skill 5. But anyways, enough about that. Back to the Blood Angels. First and foremost, in their armory, they get Inferno Pistol, which is a Melta pistol with only range 6, Melta 3, but still, you know, AP2, Strength 8. It's a 1, you know, only 1 damage, but 2 with Armor Bane if you get it within that Melta 3 on vehicles. They also have Perdition weapons, which are effectively, a Perdition weapon is a power weapon, has the same stats as a power weapon, but also a flame. A flame inflicts a further negative X, in this case 1, they all have a flame 1, so, you know, -1 penalty to leadership tests that they might have to take in the same combat, the flame weapon. So it's just, you know, you're literally burnt, like lighting on fire, and it's like, you know, having almost like having a panic close combat weapon, which is pretty cool. They also get the Elastis Assault Cannon. Holy Cramoli, it is a, you know, heavy firepower, just, it's strength 6, like, just spits out a ton of shots. Breaching 6 up, or you can give it, and you can, you know, overload it and fire even more shots, keeping its breaching 6 up. Just, you know, excellent weapon. There's a list of things that can go on to, including veteran tactical squads, Can replace their heavy flamer with it. Cataphracti squads can use it as their heavy weapon. Predators can take it, and I believe they can take them as pintle mount. Yeah, they can take them pintle mount as well. So there's this, bunch of ways that you can fit them in. They're a nifty weapon. And then finally, the prime slot that you can take. This is just includes models with the Blood Angels trait. So this could be any prime slot in the game. And it gives you Fear 1, which is excellent, as we all know. If you stack that with an Aflamed weapon, the Perdition weapon, then you're looking at, they've got a -2 to their leadership before any other things going into the combat. So hopefully you're winning these combats, you know what I mean? And then like further putting, huge, you're making sure they flee from combat. Very good for Vanguard units, I think. And then, Fear, fantastic across the board. Messes with cool, messes with leadership. So the Revenants, that's cool. You can take it on a tactical squad. You can take it on an assault squad. You can take it on a Centurion. Lots of places you could put it. Heck, you could take it on a elite unit or a retinue unit if you wanted, just to really, give some more impact in their close combat abilities. Going through their Rites of War really fast. Their Legion Tactica is fantastic. You increase the strength of attacks when you charge. Anytime you make a charge move, models in the special rule modify their strength by +1. I love charge bonuses. They're the only real charge bonus. I just went and I reread the whole player. I'm teaching people how to play soon, so I went and reread the whole, rule book, top to bottom, and I found that the only bonus you get as a charger is that you get to fire your volley attacks first. So you have a chance to kind of like wipe something out before they get fired back. But, volley attacks, unless your Sons of Horus, they're all right. Terminators get pretty solid ones and things like that. But any bonus that you can get to your charge, so in this case, getting a +1 to your strength across the board on charges, phenomenal, fantastic. You're just, you want to stay charging. The Gambit lets them, they ignore all negative modifiers to their wounds in a challenge, but can gain no outside support. This is kind of the red thirst. Okay, they did work it in a little bit with their Gambit. So it's like, like you've gone completely crazy. You're ignoring the damage to yourself while going in for your focus roll, but you can no longer have help from your buddies because you can't, you don't have that tactical acumen that we were talking about. It's pretty cool, nice Gambit. Good one, especially if you're kind of like, that's the underdogs lament right there. If you look like you're really losing it, you could still like come back and get that focus roll off in the later part of the challenge phase. The additional detachment is great. It's 2 troops and 2 elites. Troops must be used to take assault squads, and you get 1 prime troop slot. And the elite slots can either take Dawnbreakers or veteran assaults. So really leaning into the jump packs, which is extremely flavorful for the Blood Angels. Jump packs, melee, that is their jam. Finally, advanced reaction allows the reacting unit to move towards an enemy unit that it was the target of a shooting attack. This is pretty cool. So someone opens fire on you, and step 4 of the shooting attack sequence, you would make a move towards them. You follow a procedure for a normal move, moving. Oh, it's a completely normal move directly towards them. Moving the maximum distance possible while remaining at least 1 inch away from the enemy. After resolving this, if you land within 6 inches, then they've got to take a cool check, and if they failed, they're pinned. So you can kind of like scare the enemy getting up on them real quick and whatnot. So you can't get into a charge with it, but you could pin an enemy, which will then stop it from scoring points in that same turn, which is pretty good on someone else's turn. And also they can't move. They can't they are stuck there, and then you are probably a close combat unit that can then go chomp them up. Like, I love it. So they, definitely leaning into melee jump pack units. Their whole kit is all surrounded that. I will say also, season 2 of this show is going to be a Primarch list. Someone asked for it in the comments and whatnot, and I, slow coming, but we're going to start getting back at least a show or 2 a month for you guys. And I think that the Primarchs affect your army list so uniquely and so in such a cool way to give all those prime slots to 4 units, that I think that a whole army built around each one would be really fun. And, really going into the the facets of them and the little details and stuff. Like, I just learned Alfarius is light as a unit, which means that he's got like way better rush. He can also shoot after rushing. He gets a bonus to his focus roll from it. You know, there's a lot of little nuances. And I'm saying that because I'm opening up with Sanguinius, and he is like, you know, oh my god, he's a bomb ass Primarch. My first episode of the season 2 will be Sanguinius and Zephon at the Eternity Gate. That's the list idea. So, you know, Sanguinius is coming up, guys. We're gonna get, you know, we'll start in season 2. There's gonna be a lot more named characters and things like that. I've tried to avoid them in this first season, so you can kind of make your dudes, you know, your own special characters and things like that, and really make a character for list. But I think in season 2, it's I'm gonna be picking specific battles, perhaps. Maybe some as-ifs, but, you know, like I said, episode 1, season 2 is going to be Sanguinius and Zephon at the Eternity Gate. So let's move into the units that we get. The generic, I should say, for lack of better words. We have Crimson Paladins. Crimson Paladins are fantastic. They are weapon skill 5 Cataphracti Terminators. They have Deep Strike built in. They also have a Coriolis pattern power shield, which reduces the damage of wounds. Yeah, that's very good. Unsaved wounds are subtracted 1 damage, essentially giving them Eternal Warrior, and they all have power swords. And line 1, whoa, that's rare. Line 1, so they are extremely good at, you know, like getting onto an objective and sitting there, you know, soaking fire with that -1 shield. They got power swords, so they're pretty good at flipping, you know, power armored units, and you know, they'll struggle a little bit into other Terminators and things like that, but I think that so will other Terminators struggle into you with -1 damage, so it's kind of a beat petite. You're hunting for 6s on the breaching with those power swords, but that's okay. And then you also get a damage mitigation roll when you're outnumbered. These guys are like the defenders. That's really cool. I had not looked at them as much, and now I'm very interested, actually. Dawnbreakers, what I was really looking at. These guys are Jump Pack, Falling Star Power Spears, which is a +1 initiative AP3 breaching 5-up weapon. So that's you know, breaching 5-up at +1 to your initiative. That's fantastic on an AP3 frame with impact strength. So that thing is, oh my god, that's like a +1 power axe on the charge, essentially. That's a very good weapon right there. They all get them. They also have grenade dischargers, which can select between a frag or a crack profile with either a blast 3 or a stronger shot. Firepower 1 on both of those. So they have got some good, you know, good choices in what to shoot in. Very good weapons. They also want to be charging all the time. They're going to get a further +1 to they have impact strength and +1 strength, so they're going to get +2 on their strength mod when they charge in. Wow. Not too shabby. I love these guys, and they cannot be intercepted by distant enemies when they arrive on the battlefield, as they have something called Set the Sky Aflame. So when they show up, there's like a big flare and flash. And when they arrive via Deep Strike, if the target of an interceptor reaction, no models over 12 inches away can fire on them. That's pretty crazy. So you can easily stay away from the units that might be able to get intercept shots on you and protect yourself coming in. I love them. I think they're awesome. Next up are the Angel's Tears. These guys are like your God, what were they called? Destroyers back in the day. You know, Jump Pack, you know, kind of like your War Crimes crew, for lack of a better word. It's funny that some units still have them. Weirdly enough, Salamanders get their Pyroclast, which were like their version of the Destroyers. These are the Angel's Tears. Also, I should have mentioned the Crimson Paladins and Dawnbreaker are both elites, so that is kind of a tough slot to fill. You know, you're looking at possibly a veteran cadre when you are building your lists. But the Angel's Tears are going to be, they're dual pistols, dual Vicos Pentas. I love it. 1 in every 5, I believe. Up to 2, any model in this unit, any model can have their 2 Volkites replaced with a Erlim grenade launcher, which has the rad grenades, poison 2-up with Phage T. I love it. Back in the day, I was trying to figure out, Salamanders couldn't take any destroyers and rad weapons in their lists, so I was trying to find a list that could, and I was on the fence between Blood Angels and Death Guard, because they had the best rad gear. It was pretty cool. I ended up going with Death Guard at the time, because it's like, you know, I love Death Guard but now that I'm coming back around to the Blood Angels, really liking these guys. They have bitter duties, so they can't be joined by things, but they also have Vanguard 3, so they score points for killing stuff off objectives, and Firestorm. So they get, they get a freebie. They could fire volley attacks at full ballistic skill, and they don't have to charge after volley attacks. They effectively get 2 shooting phases in every turn. Very good unit. I like them. They also have move 12. They've got jump packs as well. So just a cool, get up close, clear some tacticals. Just, gun of Volkite Serpentas, twin Volkite Serpentas on these guys, so they're getting 4 shots per dude, and then one guy is getting that grenade launcher to drop this, the toughness on the unit. Like, just a cool wipe stuff out unit. Finally, we've got the Contemptor Incandius Dreadnought. I love Dreadnoughts. I love a special Dreadnought. My goodness, this guy is super cool. He has twin Talons of Perdition, which gives him +2 attacks. So he's going for 6 attacks as a Dreadnought, which is huge. That's very big. That's like 50% more attacks than most Dreadnoughts get. And they are Strength 7, AP 2, 2 damage, a flame attacks. Very good for taking out elite units. Pretty good going into another Contemptor. Might struggle into like a Leviathan or a Saturnine Dread, but very good for clearing out elites, very good for clearing out veterans, and it has 2 built-in twin heavy flamers. Who doesn't love a twin heavy flamer? I believe a twin heavy flamer is Panic 3, which is pretty nuts. And finally, they have the Incandius Boost Pack. When they make a rush, they gain anti-grav. That is awesome. Jump pack, freaking Dreadnought. That's what I'm about, guys. I am pushing the time on this because I get so excited about the Dreadnought, so excited about Dreadnought, so excited about the Blood Angels right now. So this is kind of a longer episode, but I'm going to break down this list I made. This list is, kind of just trying to include as many cool, specific units as possible, and I think I threw in 2 of those Dreadnoughts because I was going, real heavy on it. In our Crusade detachment, we have a Praetor with a jump pack and a Paragon Blade and Melt Bombs. You know what it's about. He's dicing up guys, or he's going for a vehicle. We have a Centurion with a jump pack. This is my named guy, and he is Kayaz Draconian. Kayaz Draconian has a Hand Flamer. He's got Melt Bombs, and he's also rocking a Power Fist, because I love my Power Fists. Next up is the Centurion in Centurion and Terminator armor with a Chain Fist. He is jumping with my Crimson Paladins. He's got that Chain Fist just to really mess up vehicles and Dreadnoughts. And finally, I took a Moritat because I wanted as many jump pack units as possible in this list. He's got 2 overcharged plasma pistols. He is going with one of the 2 assault squads I've got in the troops section. So I've got 2 assault squads of 10. Both are set up kind of the same way with power combat shields, power swords across the board. And I took a 12-man tactical unit and a Rhino, just for, most of this is Vanguard stuff, so the tactical squad is going to be my line unit going up onto objectives, taking them, trying to score those extra points every turn. My first auxiliary detachment is a Armored Fist, where I've got a Land Raider carrier that will be transporting my Crimson Paladins. So my Crimson Paladins will also be going with the Centurion in Terminator armor, and they have line 1, so they are also going to go park on objectives midfield or as far deep into the enemy as possible and just defend the crud out of them. I took 5 auxiliary detachments in this because I got 2 Centurions and a Moritat, which is pretty nuts. I think that's the most I've ever taken in a list. I've got a tactical support unit. I just took this was kind of at the end, and I just needed, I was padding out some points, but I also needed some anti-tank. So I took a whopping 4 laser destroyer rapiers in 1 unit. That should wipe out just about anything. It's going to draw a lot of fire, but also can return fire pretty well. And then I took had 80 points left over. I took 2 heavy bolter ones. They've got suppressive 2. I think they are cheap and fire just a savage amount of shots. The balance of status and killingness on volume of fire, I think, is pretty good for 80 points. Next up, I have 2 different heavy support slots. Both of them are Dread Simple by taking a Contemptor Incandius Dreadnought. Love them. I want to see those rushing Dreadnoughts, with anti-grav flying up the board, just really doing some damage, and also taking objectives if they need to. They don't have line, but they don't have Vanguards. They can still score normal points on an objective. I love them. I took a Shock Assault Auxiliary, just with 10 of those Angel Tears. And then finally, I took the Army Vanguard as my apex, last but not least. The Army Vanguard has 5 Crimson Paladins and 10 Dawn Breakers. The 10 Dawn Breakers took a Prime unit, and they have Fear. So they've got Revenant along with those Falling Star Power Seers. They should be hopefully winning some combats and hopefully making some people fall back. And that is the list. Sorry that I kind of compacted that really quick for you guys. It's nice. A lot of those units don't have options to take. So like, ding, you know, it was nice and simple. But that is the list. That is the Blood Angels. Welcome back, you know, to the finale of season 1 here of Thursdays with Horus. Thanks for waiting. If you've been waiting for this episode, thanks for watching, no matter what. Thanks for sticking around and listening to me yap for this long. As always, happy hunting out there, good hobbies, and I forgot to take a sip of my coffee, but I've always got my hobby coffee with me, everybody. Take care. Have a good one.